Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this morning among such wonderful women. Vanita, thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this very important day. Ladies and gentlemen on the dais, my dear friend Ramesh, very, very distinguished girls and ladies from southern part of India. It's a pleasure to be here indeed. And once I found the topic breaking free as the topic of discussion today, I was very intrigued as to what really we need to really reflect, introspect and see how we have been managing our life and work over the last so many years. I feel India has a great opportunity to leapfrog and lead the world. But of course, there are so many challenges associated with that. The biggest challenge is that if we do not include 49 or 49.8% of our population in the mainstream, no country can dream to be a superpower. So therefore, we have to tackle this very, very major issue of gender imbalance in a country. Santhanam, I must really compliment you for a wonderful presentation, which now I actually belongs to Rajni, not you. I think you have set a very good recipe for what needs to be done, what companies can do, what we can do, what women and girls can themselves do to really break out and really get into the mainstream. Some of the points which he highlighted are very, very important and we need to really pay attention to those. But couple of things when you talk of breaking free. What do we need to break free from? I think this girl started in the morning. I think two things come to my mind. We got to break free of stereotypes, mindsets, that is one, and other is fear. I think the fear of unknown. This is applicable to all of us, not just women. So I think let me start by saying what is the most intense feeling which we need to get rid of. I think the power of fear and hesitation. I think this is something which unnecessarily controls our life and destiny. It actually impinges on our ability to really realize our potential. This is something which is very, very crucial. And it can actually translate to avoidable problems. So the fear of failure is something which needs to be thrown out of the window. I think this is something most critical to my mind. And what is the good news? Fear itself is a far-fetched idea. It's just a concept developed by men or women, I don't know, okay? Fear is just an idea, it's a mere concept. It itself says false evidence appearing real, F-E-A-R. It's a false evidence, it is something which is never going to happen, but it keeps troubling our mind and we ruin our lives just thinking about something imaginary which is never going to happen. So I think this is one very, very important thing which we need to really break free of is fear. I show you this picture, very interesting picture. This poor little thing, horse, thinks that he cannot move. He's tied by this to this plastic small little chair and he thinks that he is absolutely tied down and he never runs away because he thinks he's tied down here. And that's exactly happening in our lives. We are tied by invisible ropes. Many of us are tied by this invisible rope. It limits our belief in what we are capable of achieving in our lives. We need to really root it out. And I think Santhanam talked about number of points and many of these points are pointing to these. This is because we are living on some very, very massive mountains of misconceptions and stereotypes. I'll read some of them. Of course, they're on the screen. If someone looks successful, they are successful. The reality is, grass is always greener on the other side. There's so many things you see. You hear of a man only when he's become successful. When he's going through all those tough times, you don't even acknowledge his presence, his or her presence. You will end up in a graveyard of broken dreams. This is rubbish. You will end up learning with varied experience. So please keep trying new things. You have to know everything. This is another very major myth which we need to shatter and throw out of the window. Don't fear the unknown. You need to be good at everything. This is another horrible stuff which we keep learning. We need to be good only in our chosen fields. We can decide 2 or 3 things. Sachin Tendulkar is not good at everything. I think all of us can beat him on maths, right? He can beat me in cricket, but I can beat him on maths, right? So everybody, my chosen field is different, his chosen field is different. So please decide what you're good at. We don't need to ape. Skills are the most important resource to cultivate. I think skills are cheap. Passion is priceless. I think it's the passion which comes, the fire in the belly which comes from within, which will decide. Let me just put these 8 pictures just for you to, you know them all very, very well. Humble beginning, glorious endings for all of them. You look at Amitabh Bachchan, for instance. He achieved stardom very early in life. Then his company ABC went into a position where it was on the verge of bankruptcy. He went into the industry once again, came back winner, regained his stardom, and his wealth is much more than his peak period. So I think that's one story to learn, that you can always get back. It's not that if once you lose something, you cannot regain. I think it's the spirit, it's the way you think. That is very, very important. So all of them, if you look at all their humble backgrounds, for the paucity of time, I don't want to get into each one of them, but you know, each one of them are all cases of humble beginning, glorious ending. And of course, we have a glass ceiling which people have been talking of. And I think these are the first women who broke the glass ceiling. The women pilot, 1951, Prem Mathur. First IPS officer, Kiran Bedi. Justice Fatima Bibi, Supreme Court Judge, 1989. Lieutenant General of Indian Armed Forces, Punita Arora. And of course, first woman worth 1 billion net worth, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, our own. So I think there are several examples of women breaking the glass ceiling. I'm sure you will have several examples from this audience one day. And in fact, we already have several women sitting on the dais here who are breaking the glass ceiling in their own ways. Disability, I think this is another thing, is just a state of mind. There are 2 examples. Stephen Hawking, you know. Sudha Chandran, she has the Jaipur foot, but she's a great dancer. Imagine, she did not get cowed down by her disability, so to say. She took it and she is a great, great person. Inspiration from overseas, Oprah Winfrey, she was removed because it was told that she is not fit for TV. Okay? And you know, Thomas Edison went through 10,000 experiments or set of failures before he invented the bulb. So I think we have a number of stories to say that there are a number of inspiring stories, and I think these are all stories from overseas and from India, but you have stories from within this room which can be actually big, big thing. So ladies and gentlemen, life is like a jigsaw puzzle. Life is a strict teacher because she gives you the test before the lesson. I think this is the major difference with life. They give you a test, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail. So failure is an ingredient, very important ingredient of life. Failure is a very, very important part of success. So I think we have to take that in that spirit. Let me move to this very important slide. For this, what do we need to do to get out of all this? We have to reprogram our minds. We have to overcome the mental barriers. Don't get bogged down by the process which we have been following. Eliminate years of emotional baggage and stereotypes that girls can't do this is men's job. And Santhanam talked about very important networking. Why do women have to network only with women? Why can't they network with men? I think some of these societal changes we need to really get come with a very heavy hand, and we should absolutely shatter them. I think we all are empowered enough in this room to really be able to take this, because this is very important, because all women and men out on the streets cannot do it. I think we all are empowered and probably capable to do it, and let us take that responsibility on ourselves to do. I will just give you a very interesting example of mental model. Now, this is a very good example. Roger Bannister was the first human being to run 1 mile in 4 minutes. And this had been not happened for the last 70 years before him. Since 1986, runners were trying. It was only in 1954 that Roger Bannister made this 1 kilometer, 1 mile in 4 minutes. Within 46 days of Roger Bannister doing it, there was another person who broke Roger Bannister's record. And thereafter, every week and every month, there were people breaking the records. For 70 years, nobody broke that record. But once one guy did it, everybody started doing one after the other. So this is a great example of mental model. So I think we are limited only by our ability to think. It's not that we are. This is another very interesting example I want you to look at. This is mathematics, very simple mathematics. If you do 0.01% more than the normal for 365 days, you will be 37 times more than if you did 0.01% less than the normal requirement. Just imagine 0.01% less than what is required to be done, you will reach only 0.03. So even mathematics proves that walking that extra mile will give you that extra advantage, and you are at 37 versus 0.03. So I think this is something very, very interesting to note. Use your doubt as motivation. Ask what if. I think this is what if is very, very important. You got to get over you got to be certain about uncertainties. Okay, I think that's something very important. If you're moving, then you can steer faster, and if you don't move and you try to steer, you will probably fall down. Very, very important. Moving waters make stagnant water move. I think this is interesting. Exposure therapy, do things you're afraid of over and over again. But remember, whenever you do something very good as well, you may not always get immediate good results. You may get absolutely negative results, so-called negative results of doing good deeds. Because Newton's third law comes into play. It says every action has equal and opposite reaction. You do something good, bad comes back to you, but it is only temporary. Don't get worried about that. In the long run, you're building a foundation for a very, very good story for yourself and for the world. So does one size fit all? No. Set your own high bar. Failure is an essential ingredient of success. Reward yourself with responsibility. Learn to be a better communicator. Be proactive about asking for feedback. I think these are some of the... So finally, to my mind, 7 things. Be a horse with blinders on. Overanalysis causes mental paralysis. So I think we need to stop overanalyzing, overthinking, simply act. Emotions run in a cause and effect pattern. This is another very important thing. Path to success is not linear, it's complex. Maintain your mental discipline. Don't allow your mind to wander into doomsday trip. Avoid FOMO feeling. This is the fear of missing out. If I don't do this, I have missed out on something. Do not worry about that. Focus and passion. Find out what's important to you, what you're good at, and then put your 100% behind it. Don't chase everything. Chase what you think you're very, very passionate about. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a change? I want a bigger yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then it's time to break free. Thank you very much.